46 minutes. But I'm more worried about the daylight.
But that's fine. Let's at least do men in tights for sure.
Men in tights. Take 19.
Is you good? Like I'm on frame and everything and all that shit?
But I wanted to know, and I don't know why I didn't do it before. Yeah, there we go.
Good?
I would say a little bit more towards you. And then we're kosher. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Whitey White Guy Show. I'm Whitey, this is Cracker. I don't know why I say welcome back as if they've been here before and then I introduce this like they don't know. So welcome to the Whitey White Guy Show. I'm Whitey, this is Cracker. And today we're going to do the review of the film of the classic Mel Brooks film, Men in Tights, starring
Cary Elwes, Dave Chappelle, Richard Lewis, Mel Brooks. Who else is in it? Tracy Ullman. Isaac Hayes is in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
What
Chef.
the fuck is his name? Dick Van Patten's in it for 2 minutes. And a bunch of other people.
Yeah, a bunch of good nobodies. Do you know who the big Scottish-looking guy is?
The guy who plays Little John?
Yeah.
He is in American Pie 3. And he's also in The Incredible Hulk Returns. He plays Thor.
But you don't know what his name is?
Fuck no.
All right. Synopsis, it's Robin Hood.
It's the parody of Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, it was a spoof on Prince of Thieves. And a few other things. There's like a bit where they have this kid comes running up to him from like 500 yards out screaming. And it's like a Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, because he
Home
even does the
Alone. Yeah, which was like, yeah, and it's worked it too.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle was great.
Yeah, overall, I think this is one of his better films.
You should tell them that.
This is, okay, overall, I think this is one of his better films. It's his last good film, I think, because I do think after this is Dracula Dead Ain't Lovin' It. And
Which
that
wasn't that bad at all.
It belongs in the toilet.
Oh.
Now, however, here, this film...
Quiet, birds!
This film is actually really, really funny. I love Cary Elwes as Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Very likable.
Oh, there's that
Very
great bit
funny.
when he's like, unlike other Robin Hoods, I can speak with a British accent.
Yep.
And I was like, yay!
He's so good. I mean, it's basically
And then he
his
did
character from The Princess Bride
Yeah.
put into a
Yeah.
Robin Hood outfit.
He's actually British.
Is he really actually British?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then,
He meets up with Dave Chappelle, who plays Achu, who's the son of
Yeah.
a Sneeze, which is played by Isaac Hayes.
so it starts off with Robin Hood, Cary Elwes, as he's a prisoner during the Crusades, and he meets up with Isaac Hayes. They free, and a whole bunch of silliness ensues. Yeah. They end up freeing themselves, and then he just like swims back to England.
He literally swims
back to England, like swims up to on shore.
And I love how it's England, but you got the big sign in the back, like the Hollywood sign that says England.
Yeah.
And what I love is here.
Oh, but really quick, and then he goes to find Achu, which is Dave Chappelle, and then finds out through the blind guy,
Blinken, the blind guy named Blinken.
All this horrible shit has happened to his family, like the actual Robin Hood, and the sheriff of Rottingham.
The sheriff of Rottingham.
Rottingham is in all the shit that Robin Hood is going on.
Yeah, and
so he goes on the quest to save
Richard
the day.
Lewis plays Prince John.
He does a fantastic fucking
he's
job.
such a good job playing a dumb douchebag in this film.
But at the same time, he wasn't like evil.
No, he wasn't evil. He was
just
just dumb. And his little shtick was he has like a mole on his face that keeps moving. It's on one side, and in the next scene it's on the other. And I think in the one scene it's like in his forehead or something like that. And they never mention it until the very end. And then he asks him, like Sheriff of Rottingham says, "Wasn't your mole on the other side of your face?" And then he says, "I have a mole." Tracy Ullman plays the witch.
Yep.
The witch named Latrine, who's got the biggest crush on the Sheriff of Rottingham, and her whole thing through the entire movie, she's trying to fuck him.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, she basically is successful. She carries him off and basically rapes him in the background. But one of my favorite jokes is she's talking to Prince John, and she got a big cauldron or whatever, and she's throwing in like eyes of newt and like testicles of rat and crocodile eyes and stuff like that. And Prince John thinks that she's reading his fortune, you know, like witches do, and basically she's just making him an omelet. And then he finds out. She says something about her family history, and then she says, I changed my name to Latrine like 200 years ago or something like that. And he says, you changed your name to Latrine? She says, yeah, it used to be Shithouse.
He's like, good change. Oh, that's where Richard Lewis, it's such an odd choice to have some guy from the East Coast in the United States, but it worked.
Dave, this was the first time I ever saw Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And he's funny here. I mean, once he got his own show, I thought he kind of went overboard. But this is not typical Dave Chappelle where it's all like race jokes and stuff like that. He's not over the top screaming. He's just fucking funny here. My favorite character is probably the guy that plays Little John. I love the bit where Robin is trying to cross the bridge into Little John's territory, and Little John says you have to pay the toll, because if you don't pay the toll, then we don't get no rolls.
Yes.
And that's great. That's a funny little bit. But then in the background, you see Dave Chappelle, and he says, "Look, it's just like a little creek or a little pond or something. I can jump. Look, I'm on the east bank. I'm on the west bank." And then Robin's just like, "It's the principle of the fact."
Yeah. And that's one of those things where I used to work at a Target on the morning crew, and you remember the bit where he's like, "Hey, Blinken," and he goes, "I'm sorry, did you say Abe Lincoln?" And so every time I worked at one store or another stocking shelves, somebody would be like, "Hey, Blinken," be like, "Did you say Abe Lincoln?"
And that's what's good, because
welcome to culture.
There's a running joke that everyone mistakes. Like Blinken always mistakes what people say.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Someone calls for a Jew, you know, Dave Chappelle, and then Blinken's like, "A Jew? Here?" Mel Brooks is really funny here. He instead of Friar Tuck, since he's Jewish, he's Rabbi Tuckman, complete with little hat and the little dreadlocks. But when he lifts up his hat, the dreadlocks come with. And his thing is he keeps trying to sell people into the idea of getting the circumcision. And he's like, "Oh, the ladies love it."
Yeah.
And they don't even know.
I'll take two.
Yeah. And at the end, they meet up with him again, and he's in the process of doing one behind the curtain, and you just hear whoosh, and the guy scream, and he's like, "Oh, put some ice on it, it'll be fine." Oh, hot ass Amy Yazbek is Maid Marian.
We
forgot about.
I didn't. I just was.
The scene where she's wearing the chastity belt, and she gets out of the bath, and her hair is just covering her tits, and just all the right/wrong places.
The '90s was so much better, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
This century sucks. But really, it's the opening scene.
The one where they're breaking the fourth wall with the
credits? Leave Us Alone, Mel Brooks. But yeah, the set pieces look goofy. They're not going for serious. It's all about being setting up the jokes, the one-liners, and performances.
And what the thing is, they all pay off. They're all really good.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks still has his Spaceball-ish talent there with the writing and everything.
And then you think something went awry shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I don't know if what it was is because he always had the perfect cast. You know, Young Frankenstein, Gene Wilder is fucking fantastic.
Yes.
Marty Feldman is great. Terry Garr and Cloris Leachman, they have the great chemistry. Spaceballs, every fucking person in that movie had great chemistry. Blazing Saddles, you had Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder, great chemistry. Robin Hood Men in Tights, everybody works perfectly together.
Yeah.
Dracula Dead and Loving It, no. I just don't think it was worth it. I don't know what it was between Men in Tights and Dracula that just...
Because again, like we were saying, like the sets don't look amazing or anything.
No.
They don't have to. It's comedy. But it's you're absolutely right. It's all a feel of the jokes. Just...
We're talking about the breaking of the fourth wall, which he did in Spaceballs. I love here is where...
Well, he did in High Anxiety as well.
I haven't seen that in a long
You have to
time.
check that out.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it.
But I love the breaking the fourth wall joke here is when Robin and the sheriff are sword fighting, and you see them go off screen, and you still see their shadows sword fighting, but you see Cary Elwes and the actor walking back with like a towel on their shoulder and eating a donut. Or another one where Robin tries to stab the sheriff, and he stabs like one of the grips.
Yep.
Like he grabs his donut out of his hand or stuff like that. It's still funny, still good. Highly, highly recommend. It's just sad to see that Mel Brooks only made one film since then that I know of. It ended up being Dracula, and it ended up sucking balls.
Yeah, has he? He hasn't done anything since.
I don't think so.
And that would have been mid-90s.
He's still trying to get Spaceballs 2 made. He did have a Spaceballs cartoon series that sucked.
Wow.
Yeah. So in the end,
really?
yeah, the Spaceballs cartoon.
No,
was
not
horrible.
that it sucked, but how did I miss that? Oh, it's kind of like Clerks.
Mhm.
Did you ever see the cartoon of Clerks?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. Well,
I have it on DVD.
coming
so
up next.
Oh, great.
Some
But
other point. As do I.
In the end, Men in Tights, highly, highly, highly recommend. I laugh every time I see it at the same jokes.
Yeah.
Like the first time we meet Blinken, Robin's come home to his castle, and his castle's literally being towed away by a horse and buggy from the IRS.
Yes.
But Blinken's just
On the toilet.
sitting there on the toilet, reading a Playboy in Braille. Oh, someone's yelling in the background.
Somebody's screaming for.
Anyways,
being
we're
murdered.
talking. Blinken's sitting there on the toilet reading a Playboy in Braille. And then he walks by, and Robin's like, Blinken! And Blinken yells, Master Robin, you're home! And he grabs like a Venus de Milo statue. You know, the one with the no arms. He says, oh, Master Robin, you lost your arms in battle. And then he gropes the statue and says, you some nice boobs. And then he slaps the boobs.
You got great tits.
Oh.
Yeah, everything.
Almost everything. I don't think there's really a lame joke here. When Patrick Stewart shows up,
Yeah, at the
as
end.
King Richard,
It's King Richard.
and then his stick is he finds out what Prince John has been doing. He says from this day forward, all the toilets will be named John.
Make him part of the tour.
Make him part of the
Yeah.
tour of like the Tower of London and stuff like that. So it's great. Everything is.
You
great.
know what else was great that Patrick Stewart was in?
Dune. No, he wasn't. That's for
No,
another
he's
story.
in Dune. That's just not a great movie. Anything? Yeah, everything was good.
Everything was pretty damn near perfect. Will Scarlet is now known as Will Scarlet O'Hara.
But that's the.
From
I
the
mean, just to mention, like, yeah, and then Blinken showed. Just they named the guy Blinken.
And of course, what they
Everything's
do when they're hiding in the forest, Blinken's the lookout.
And then he catches the eyes. I heard that coming a mile away. And then he's like, "Good job, Blinken. Who said that?"
Oh, we forgot to talk about the dance sequence.
There's a dance. Oh yeah, it's Men in Tights.
When
the
they
dance
sing the
Yes,
Men in
we're-
Tights song, we're men, manly men, we're men in tights. Yes. And then they go to like this, whole can dance, and it's perfect. It's funny. Ah,
And then Dracula Dead Loving It. Just
had
didn't-
2 dance sequences that weren't funny.
So yeah, Men in Tights.
Robin Hood, Men in Tights, 2 thumbs up.
A+ home run. We love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's it for the White White Guy show for this episode. Thanks for watching. I hope that guy lived.
I did
He
too.
was screaming pretty gnarly, dude. So yeah, good journey.
Good journey.
Good journey. Okay.